the Asian American Pacific Islander Nurses Association with Apina of Nevada. Start the week healthy and right with interesting conversations on living a healthy lifestyle. And now, your Healthy Mondays host, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong.
Aloha! Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Naimbaga Sardam, maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. I'm yours truly, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong, founding president of the Asian American Pacific Islander Nurse Association of Nevada and professor in nursing at Roseman University College of Nursing. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig sa Healthy Mondays. And we just realized that this is our 5th year of broadcasting Healthy Mondays with Apina of Nevada. And that was in August 2018, our first broadcast. And so, I think it's fitting to say Happy New Year. Manigong bagong taon sa inyong lahat. At in Hawaiian, Ha'oli Makahikiho. And I just wanted to share that some people thought that I was Hawaiian. Well, let me get the story straight. I'm actually Filipino, was born and raised in Binoanan, Rizal, Philippines. And my family moved to Honolulu, Hawaii, and I grew up in Hawaii and mostly from my teens. So I guess I'm both Filipino and Hawaiian at heart. So we got that straightened up. So that's why I say aloha. A lot of Filipinos wondering why I say aloha. So that's the story behind that. And tonight I have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about belongingness. And tonight's talk will center about it. And I want to ask you a big question. Do you belong to a group? Do you belong to an association, or do you belong to just a club? I remember in high school, I belonged to 5 of us. We call ourselves TOJIF, T-O-J-I-F-E, and it stands for the letter of our first name. So we're going to center our conversation about belongingness. And I just wanted to share some statistics that I found on the literature and the website out there, and I think Mayo Clinic had nailed it. Mayo Clinic says having a sense of belonging is important, considering the groups and labels we give ourselves and others. We are members of families, sporting teams, and Super Bowl is coming up, remember? And so you can also be a group of hobbyists. You can also be a spiritual group, charities, political parties, cities, countries, and nationalities, to name a few. Nearly every aspect of our lives is organized around belonging to something. So we cannot really separate the importance of sense of belonging from our physical and mental health. The social ties that accompany a sense of belonging are a protective factor helping manage stress and other behavioral issues. When we feel we have the support and are not alone, we are more resilient and often coping more effectively with difficult times in our lives. Coping well with hardships actually decreases the physical and mental effects of these situations. And also, Mayo Clinic says we begin our life with most crucial needs, attachments to a caregiver, like the baby being attached to the caregiver who's taking care of them. This is the beginning of our fundamental need for belonging. And the study shows that the children who have not achieved a healthy attachment in their young life have lower self-esteem and have a more negative worldview and are mistrustful and can have a perception of rejection. Most importantly, depression, anxiety, and suicide are more common mental health conditions associated with lacking a sense of belonging. And these conditions can lead to social behaviors that interfere with a person's ability to connect to others, thus creating a cycle of events that further weakens a sense of belonging. So tonight, I have a very special guest, a friend of mine from our community. Welcome to Healthy Mondays, Marley Cardiff.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for agreeing to be our guest tonight. And maybe you can share with our listeners out there a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I was born and raised in the Philippines, Pasig. And when I was 13, my dad uprooted the whole family, his wife and 6 small children, out of the Philippines and into North America. Our first port of entry was actually Vancouver, BC. Because we got our Canadian visa first, so we lived there for 4 years while waiting for our U.S. visa. And then 4 years later, we finally got our U.S. visa, and my dad moved all of us to Portland, Oregon, where we settled. He really wanted to live in the U.S. Lived there from 1978 till 2003 when I met my husband, John, who's also Filipino. And from there, we moved around a lot because of his job. So from Portland, we moved to the Washington, D.C. area, and then to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then to Las Vegas, Seattle, Kansas City, Missouri, back to Seattle, and then finally,
places.
Yes, and then finally, I told my husband I really want to settle in Las Vegas because I love the weather here. So he finally found a job the second time around. So I said, we're not moving anymore. We're settling here. So
we're happy that you're here with us. And wow, Ontario, Canada, and then Portland.
Yes.
Beautiful places. And now you're here in the desert.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I never would have imagined, having lived in so many different states and different cities, like cities that I would never have even dreamed of visiting. You know, I got to live there, and it was just eye-opening, you know, to see all the different parts of the country and meeting new people. And, you know, speaking of belonging, like creating a community of friends that are still our friends to this day. And, you know, we talk occasionally, not very often, but when we do, it's like we've never missed a beat. Like it's like we were living in the same city still.
And I know for our listeners out there, Marley is actually part of our club that we put together. We're our community. We both live in a community here in Henderson. It's about probably 10 minutes from Lake Las Vegas. And so we created this Kapamilya Club because we realized there's a lot of Filipinos in our community. And we wanted to talk about, reminisce our times when we were growing up in the Philippines. And most importantly, the food.
Yes.
And so last Saturday, we had our first, we meet every second Saturday of the month. And we decided we're going to have Filipino breakfast. And guess what I brought? Because I just came back from the Philippines from a medical mission trip, and my brother and his family were gracious enough to take me to Puerto Galera, and there I bought little baby tawilis and danggit, and then also dried squid, and that's where I fried some in our clubhouse kitchen. Nevertheless, it was really smelly. And then one of our groups, Sam, from our Kapamilya Club, made some fried garlic fried rice and also scrambled eggs. Spam. And scrambled eggs with fresh tomatoes and onions. Are you guys salivating yet?
Yeah. And someone brought salted eggs too.
Yes, I brought the salted eggs.
Oh, you did?
And
okay.
Then some fresh tomatoes. And I think Julie, Sam's wife, made some cassava cake. So nevertheless, we were all full for breakfast that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we wanted to, I wanted Marley to share with our listeners out there is why she decided to join Kapamilya.
Well, you know, like you said, when I found out that there's more Filipinos in our community than me and my husband, I got excited because, you know, even though I've lived in the States for so long, I call it my home, but my heart will always belong to the Philippines. And so the idea of getting together a group of like-minded people with the same values was really exciting to me. And, you know, you already mentioned it, the food, you know, like cooking smelly daing or whatever is like, I don't have to explain that to anybody. Like, why does it smell? Or, you know, we just cook it and eat it. And that idea of just being comfortable in a group of people that understands our culture, really excited me. And also, I want to never forget about where I come from and making myself connected with other Filipinos. I think it helps ground me as well.
And I think it helps to, for our listeners out there, it helps you for your well-being to identify with a group. And I think I'm going to share a little bit more about, sorry about the shuffling of the paper here. So there are some important information that I also found out in the literature out there. And thank you for sharing, you know, why you decided to join the Kapamilya. There is a big question. Why is sense of belongingness important? And it's just like a professor here asking my students out there. So according to the literature out there, it helps us. The reason why the sense of belongingness is important is because it helps us to manage our stress, and we also feel more resilient. And I mentioned that earlier from the literature from Mayo Clinic, that it also helps you feel more resilient, which ultimately allows you to cope more effectively during the challenging times. It is easy to see how a sense of belonging becomes a crucial component of our mental health. And also, research shows that the stronger our sense of belonging, the stronger our well-being. And an increase of sense of belonging leads to collaboration, problem solving, and better decision making. And also connection to family and friends and belonging to a community can reduce the stress and loneliness. And they can also make a huge difference to the well-being, not only of adults, children also, and all the other family members. Some of the things that are benefits of creating the sense of belonging is, one, there is a reduction in levels of anxiety and depression, hopelessness, and even the thought of committing suicide. There is happiness causing a feeling of total well-being, and also there is a sense of purpose and meaning in an individual's life. So we can share with you about other things that we did. Our Kapamilya Club, I think we also, our goal also is to support our Filipino business people. And I think we went to another restaurant who is owned by a Filipino.
Right.
And then we also went to another place where also, I think Di Pinoy's is one of the places that we went. And then Mang Felix.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so to enjoy Filipino foods and, you know, the smell, and you mentioned about the smelly fish, it brings back memories of our childhood, right?
Yeah.
So, and also, one of the other things that I wanted to say about this, we also talk about the benefits. Like, I think you can share with us about your dancing group. I mean, we're talking on our way here. Please share with us about your dancing group.
Yeah, well, you know, you talk about a group doesn't have to be like a formal group. It can be, you know, a group that you belong to at work, you know, maybe that you do coffee chats together. Because I work remotely, so I don't get to see my peers very often. But, you know, once a month, we will schedule like a coffee chat, and we'll go on Zoom and just talk about anything but work. So, you know, that's another group that I belong to. And then, as I was telling you on our way in here, about the dance community that my husband and I have created. We started dancing salsa in 2019, and it, you know, besides the fact that you are, you know, it's a form of exercise, you know, it gets your heart beat really fast, and then the music just I say the music makes my heart happy. We've been able to just connect with so many different people from different walks of life, from even different cultures. And so we would get together doing social things, other than dance, like maybe going out to eat, maybe going to see like a jazz show or something. And then the pandemic hit, of course, but we were still dancing. Like our dance instructor would go online and we would watch, and then we would practice at home. And then I think it was in 2022 that we finally came back to the studio, and there were the original people that we were hanging out with. Some of them, had gone on to different things. So there were new people that came in, but we continued to build this community. And then last year I had to get foot surgery and I couldn't dance for like 6-7 months. And I felt a little bit lost because I felt like I lost that dance community that we have built. And even though I wasn't alone, because I still have my friends, I still have my husband, it felt a little bit lonely because I felt disconnected. Like that line that I had with that dance community it felt cut off because I couldn't dance, I couldn't see them. And so I think that was the first time that I realized how important, that sense of community is. It doesn't matter what the purpose is for that, for any group that you belong to, but it's really important for your well-being, your mental well-being, because then I start to think, do they, am I likable? Do people really like me or whatever?
Yourself,
You start to second guess yourself. But I got over that really fast. I just have to just start reaching out to them again.
And I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Start reaching out because Dr. Angela Thiessen, she's a psychotherapist in psychiatry and psychology in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She mentioned about how to boost your sense of belonging. And one of the things that she said is make an effort.
Yeah.
She said that the most crucial ingredient to building a sense of belonging is effort. So you cannot belong if you don't choose to make the effort to engage in others. And it may feel uncomfortable at first to meet new people, but give it time, as you may need to practice self-talk. Like you were saying, oh, okay, wow, do they like me? Or
right.
Am I likable? So you